Okay, well, hello and welcome to the Dual Use EU Dual Use Regulation 2021 Changes webinar. My name is Arnie Milken, I'm Customs Manager, and I'm excited to take you through some of the slides that we've prepared for this, and hopefully it's of use, it's of interest, and yeah, you get to take a look at what's coming up in the European Union later on in 2021. Of course, it's an important notice to know that this is just general guidance and this is not legal advice. And everything we say here is generally available online. There's no new information here. You can literally go through all the law yourself and figure out, hopefully, out the same things. And please don't substitute this presentation for any legal advice or any lawyer advice that you might be needing for your particular circumstances. Diversify your sources, look at different places in order to understand what the law means. This is, as I said, just for information and to get us kind of going in a better understanding of what that law then is. Well, before I start, I should say that we are really excited about export controls in Customs Manager. We'd love to teach about export controls, talk about export controls. We find it fascinating, useful, relevant, and such an important policy. And what we also love is that it's so different in the EU, in the US, and then probably in the UK soon too. And then again, we have the whole China export control thing, which is also quite unique. So we are helping businesses on the road to compliance with export controls, whether you are a seasoned export controller or whether you're newly starting out. What we do is we'll help you with a range of support tools from blogs to videos such as this one. We also have live training, so here are some. We have an export control fundamentals for all of those starting off or just want a refresher, where we go through the fundamental basics. That's on the 16th of July 2021, and then regularly thereafter, so you can always look on the booking side and find the latest date. There is also a US export control series that starts on the 27th of May, has 6 educational webinars, all EAR focused, and you see some of the things we'll be talking about there. There's more information later on you can check out. Also, everything's public and published on the website. And then there are export control exclusive updates. That's a day with Customs Manager, with one of my guys, with either me or one of my colleagues. And we are going to talk about just updates. So what happened over the last 6 months? What are the things that have changed in export controls? We'll pick some laws. Could take the Polish law, could take the Slovak, the EU, the German, the UK law, and see what changed there. And that includes also sanctions. And here is just a little promo, if you want, for this US export control series that we're running. There is a full-blown recording of some 20+ minutes of what this will cover. Gives you a bit of an introduction on the US export control series we're going to run, and also the format, the way I speak, so that you get familiar with the kind of slides that are coming and how it's going to look. And then hopefully that will entice you to join us for this great educational webinar. And more information is on this site and on the link. With that said, well, look, export controls, what are they? Well, I don't need to tell you what export controls are, you know this, but we need to start somewhere, right? So they are restrictions imposed by governments around the world on what? On both tangible and intangible movement of goods, software, and technology. And what's important here is the word tangible. Tangible is grabbable, something I can hold in my hand. But also there's intangible, something I cannot hold in my hand, something that's not available really. That is basically the information I provide, or the speeches I make, or something that hasn't physical material. It's intangible. It's about goods, and this can be transferred as a physical good, but also intangibly, obviously, through knowledge sharing, etc., or technology. And there's also software that's included. So we've got goods, software, and technology, all are in subject of export controls. And this is something that the customs people often do not realize, that there is such a thing as export controls, which is a separate law to the customs law. And because that is so, we can now control goods, software, but also technology, tangible and intangible. So the content on the CD if there ever was going to be a CD again, or say the memory drive, the content of the memory drive is as controlled as the memory drive might be. Or the memory drive could be not controlled, but the content in there is. And of course, we have another aspect to it, and that's the provision of technical assistance. And that is just what it says. It is me assisting you to run this machine, or it's me assisting you installing, repairing, and so on a machine. If you do that on controlled items, and whatever those are, we'll see a little later, then there might be restrictions on there. You might need to get a license prior to you exporting such technical assistance. And that could be a phone call, that could be a Skype call, it could be a Zoom call, hey, this could be a WhatsApp message if you want. The moment it goes outside of your jurisdiction, in your customs union, your customs territory, this might be controlled. So there are many examples of what could be export controlled. Here are just 5, just very quickly. So you have a buyer in Switzerland who wants to buy 100 small trucks of a normal design. Now, that is not really complicated. And you ought to be finishing your analysis of export control requirements really quickly. But if you had a request from Ukraine and Moldova for the delivery of 10 off-road vehicles, each with special military equipment, that's a different matter, as you can hopefully clearly see. In a total different universe, you may have a company that wants to sell 50 electrical installation systems to one import in Egypt. Now, that might still be okay, but just before you're about to send it off, like the day before, you learn that these will be delivered first to Egypt and then moved to Sudan. Again, that changes the whole ballgame. You might have, again, a total different scenario whereby a company plans to start manufacturing security systems in Brazil. The general purpose parts, they are general, they are made in the US and then delivered to Brazil. There are also parts that are used for military design and they are to be manufactured in Brazil. So all of that, if you understand that and follow that, so far, no big issue. However, then you learn that the development of these military parts, which are to be manufactured in Brazil, are to be designed, just designed in the US. And boom, you're caught by export controls. And so on and so on. We're not going to rehearse the other examples, but you see the diversity of things that could happen, and the movements can crisscross the world. It could be about intangibles, tangibles, it could be about technology. Various different scenarios can trigger export control requirements. And this is a serious matter because the reasons for export controls are, as you see here, they are about protecting national security. And wow, if you look at the last years, you know that national security could be really literally, used for any reason. Anything, if you want, is national security. But also there is this WMD issue, this weapons of mass destruction issue, which is obviously a big thing. And relatively, not really new, but relatively much in spotlight lately is the protection of human rights and combating terrorism. And it's all about this, right? It's all about preventing that this happens, preventing that it happens in the first place, and preventing that it happens with my stuff. I don't want to be associated with any of this thing, and I don't want my logo to be seen on TV when any of these things happen. So in order to prevent this, the government has a legal requirement, a moral requirement, if you want, to protect their citizens and also to prevent that sending out weapons of mass destruction components or anything that could be used in that way or for regional conflicts or for terrorism might be turned against my own population. I send it out, I make the money, and it comes back to me in the form of a missile directed to me. That's not cool. So the EU has signed international obligations that require it to control exports. And here is a new thing. Well, it's not really a new thing, it's just something that happened, and it involved Germany, and that's not a good thing, for sure. So we were finding, or let's put it that way, Amnesty International was finding that opposition human rights defenders, so they call them, oppositions to, or protesters, if you want, whatever, activists, journalists, dissidents, whatever you want to call them, people, humans, right, were spied upon by a German company developing spyware for military operations in Egypt and other countries in Turkey and so on. And you know, even in Google, you can see a notification that that there is a government-backed attack on. Imagine this: a government-backed attack. That's crazy on you. Yeah, and Google notices this and lets you know, so you can act. And that, of course, is something that's really problematic, because now there's a risk that certain non-listed cyber surveillance items exported may be misused by persons complicit or and responsible for directing or committing serious violations of human rights and international humanitarian law. And so the EU believes it is appropriate to place a control on these exports. The EU law looks a little like this. You have, of course, there the Union Customs Code, which is customs legislation, which has to do with a certain export as well. You also have military controls, arms controls in a common position. You also have, of course, the dual use regulations 428/2009. That, as you can see by the date, is really old. 2009 is more than 10 years old, a decade old. And if you think about it being elaborated, discussed 2 years, 3 years earlier, you can imagine that it's pretty old and it needs to be updated. And with that, I'd like to thank you for your attention. I just wanted to remind you that we're supporting businesses through the export control process and the questions and the minefield of legislation that might occur. So we do that with an export hub, and you can see that on here, the link. We have an expert blog, which is regularly updated, which covers export controls in various aspects. There are many articles. And of course, if there's something important to report, it also goes on Twitter and it also goes on LinkedIn. And if you are interested in finding out where you can read a condensed version or a summary of all the export controls related issues, well, that's a screenshot of the blog. And all you do is you go here and you filter. So you click on export control sanctions and it automatically filters all the articles that are in relation to export controls and sanctions. And a reminder that if you want to learn about EU, US, and UK and China export controls, these are the dates: the 16th of July for fundamentals. So this is for all new people that you hire, that you want to work on export controls, but they need some guidance, they need some basic understanding, and you just want to give them that brush up. Well, then this is your course. If you want to deep dive into the US export controls, then that starts on the 27th of May and has 6 educational webinars for you to explore. And then there is an exclusive update where it's not about training what's there, but it's about what changed, what's new. And that happens on the 2nd of August, 2021. And then a reminder that the export control series has a video on the main website, which is about 20 minutes plus long and explains everything we're going to do on the 27th of May. So it might be very useful. Yeah, and then finally, to remind you that, you know, with your premium subscription of your ongoing support come at least 4 benefits. You get a helpline for quick questions. You can chat, you can WhatsApp, you can phone, you can email. You have access to all of the blog. There are over 200 articles there. You can filter them by topic. They're updated regularly, and your requests are welcome. If you have a suggestion for a blog, please do share it with me. I'd love to hear it, and then we can write it and we can talk about it. It's cool. You have informal one-to-one online catch-ups. These are not for anybody else except you and me, or you and whoever is the guy here at Customs Manager. This is where you have a moan about the world of the state of the world. You can talk to me about EU export controls, how crazy everything is, about customs, about projects you have in mind. You want to bounce off an idea, all of this kind of stuff, and you can book it. And it's an hour long, and it's just me with a cup of coffee, and then you, and then we're going to have a friendly chat about it. And of course, there are group meetups. This is currently all online, but maybe in the future we'll get to meet face-to-face, and we'll have exclusive meetings, updates, educational meetups, discussions, and so on. And you can check all that out on the website. And that is all I have. So thank you so much for your attention. It was a rush through, it was a lot, but I hope it was useful, interesting, and I would welcome your questions now. I'm going to stop to share and leave the floor to you for your comments. Thank you so much. And I hope to see you again at one of the other webinars and information sessions. So have a great day, great afternoon, and see you next time. Bye.